Well, welcome to Go Ballistic, the Scottish Sun's regular look at Scottish football. And it's all about Scotland this week. A great pair of wins for Steve Clarke. Robert Grieve, our chief football writer, is so excited about the win against Poland. He's still in Warsaw. Yes, I know it's Tuesday morning. He's refusing to come home. He can't get over the fact that John McGinn and Andy Robertson scored those goals. Is this correct, Robert?
Yeah, I can absolutely confirm what you're saying, Roger. Unfortunately, the flight's out of Warsaw this morning were few and far between, so I've got a later flight this afternoon. But yeah, it's given us a chance to get up this morning, do some work for tomorrow's paper. We've got some more interviews from Andy Robertson, from Ben Doak, in tomorrow's newspaper. Some good words from these guys. We're speaking to them last night. Everyone absolutely overjoyed with the performance, I think, and getting the late win. Andy Robertson delighted about it. And I think it was thoroughly deserved, Roger. You know, the team's come on leaps and bounds, I think, in this campaign. Probably haven't got the wins maybe that they could have done. But I think you have to give Steve Clarke and the lads all the credit in the world. 9 points from the last 3 games speaks volumes for them.
You've been around the world in all those fancy hotel rooms, Robert, during that run of 1 win in 16. It was a kind of miserable existence for a while following Scotland. But as you say, point against Portugal, deserved at Hampden, and in these back-to-back wins, we're suddenly in a better place.
Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt about that. And I think, in all fairness to the manager, he probably does deserve credit. I think post-Euros, he was under pressure. I think we all sensed that I wonder if he maybe lost his mojo a little bit in the back of the Euros, but he had to make some changes. He had to develop the team, develop the squad, and I think he's done that. The introduction of Ben Doak's been huge. It was a real blow that Ben Doak missed out in the Euros. I think he would have made a huge difference to the team. I think we've seen that in the last few games. Still slightly worrying that the manager is still kind of holding him back. I think, you know, he's very deliberately talking about protecting him and making sure people don't get too excited and we put too much pressure on the boy's shoulders. But he's 19, he's fearless, he's come into these games, as you say, last week against Croatia at Hampden, he was outstanding. And last night again, he had a big impact in the game, setting up the opening goal for John McGinn and overall having a good performance. So yeah, I think there's a lot to be excited now about the Scotland team. It's probably unfortunate the campaign has now come to an end in this Nations League, that they probably just left it a little bit too late in terms of getting the points on the board. But I think there's reason to be optimistic again ahead of the World Cup qualifiers next year.
You phoned me on Sunday night after the Steve Clarke pre-match press conference. He was hinting that Ben Doak might not start. You were incensed. You wrote a great piece for Monday's paper about it, saying that if he wasn't in the team, it wouldn't be a team sheet, it would be a resignation letter. I said to you at the time, that's just Steve Clarke being Steve Clarke. And it turned out it was sort of mind games. Why is he trying to hold back Ben Doak like that when the rest of the nation is rightly excited about the talent of the player?
Yeah, I think you'd have to ask Steve Clarke about that. Listen, the boy's 19, right? So he is young, he is inexperienced, he is raw. Everyone knows that. Everyone can see that. We know he's not the finished article by any stretch of the imagination. But I think the fans, guys like myself in the press and the media, I think we can see that the boy's got real potential. But not only that, I think he's proven in the games that he's played so far that he's for the here and now also. I mean, I was genuinely alarmed by Steve Clarke's comments pre-match. Could almost see them coming. I think that's probably what led to the questions about him, because you did wonder whether he would think long and hard about leaving him out. I think Steve Clarke, as much as he's done a fantastic job for Scotland since he's been in the job, no one's given him more credit than me, but I think he has been guilty at times of overthinking things. And I did worry that he would do that with this, with the Ben Doak situation. Part of me, though, also does think, I agree with you, Roger, that Steve Clarke can just be contrary for contrary's sake. You know, if you ask him something, his automatic default position is to go the opposite way. So he maybe privately was always going to play Ben Doak. But I think if he was concerned about it, if he was thinking about leaving him out, if he was thinking about having him come on as an impact player, I think that would have been a mistake. So I also don't understand really why. I mean, when we speak to Steve Clarke about Ben Doak, he does point to things that he can do better. He does talk about how coaches and him as manager look at Ben Doak and analyse his game and see things that he can improve on. Everyone knows he can improve in things, but I don't think it serves anyone well to point out his deficiencies. Every player's got a deficiency. If I was to write an article right now and talk about Ben Doak being nowhere near ready to play for Scotland every week, that he's not good enough tracking back, that he has to improve this, that, and the next thing, you'd be accused of being negative. You'd be slaughtered by the Tartan Army, Scotland fans, Liverpool fans, Middlesbrough fans. Oh, you don't know what you're talking about. Yet the Scotland manager talks about Ben Doak in these terms about how he has to improve in certain things. We all know that. It's true. There's no doubt about it. But why not just embrace the kid? Why not look at the things he's good at? Why not talk him up? What's the harm in looking to this boy and saying he's got a career ahead of him in the Scotland team if things go well, and let's embrace it. The kid's fearless. Why is everyone else around him, or why is anyone else around him showing fear? There's no need for it.
We should embrace it. We should celebrate the run we're on it, and the way the team has emerged. You know, Craig Gordon back and goal, almost 42. He looks a better keeper than Angus Gunn. That's the bottom line. The back four is Anthony Ralston, who can't get a game at Celtic. John Souttar, who's been criticised at Rangers. Grant Hanley, who can't get a game at Norwich. And the captain, the match winner, Andy Robertson. They've only lost one goal in the last 3 games. In front of them, Billy Gilmour, wonderful pass at the start, the move for the first goal. Kenny McLean has emerged as, I'm going to say adequate maybe doesn't cover it, replacement for Callum McGregor. I thought Kenny McLean had a good game last night. And then you look at Doak, you look at McTominay, you look at John McGinn, who's now the 4th leading goal scorer in Scottish football history. You know, it's a good basis. For me, we still need to discover a centre forward or play McGinn at centre forward. And we're looking a better team, Robert.
Yeah, absolutely. You've touched on every single position there, Roger. You've pretty much, don't know if you've left anyone out that you've not named, but you're absolutely right. Craig Gordon's come back into the team. I had a lot of sympathy for Craig Gordon for the fact that he missed out in the Euros. Angus Gunn has done a terrific job, I think, since coming into the squad. However, he has made mistakes in a Scotland jersey. Craig Gordon makes saves that goalkeepers probably shouldn't make.
Yeah.
And that's no... We end up comparing other goalkeepers to Craig Gordon because he makes saves that he probably, as I say, he shouldn't make. Angus Gunn in Portugal made a number of outstanding saves for Scotland, yet he chucked one in. You know, Craig Gordon doesn't tend to do that. You're right about the defence. It looks far better for me as a back four. Andy Robertson looks suited to that more than he does as playing wing back. Anthony Ralston, as you say, can't get a game for the Celtic team, but he's far suited to playing at right back than right wing back. He's also, we're talking about this last night post-match and making the point that if you're Anthony Ralston and you get the ball and you look to your right-hand side, you've got Ben Doak showing for it every time. And you look inside, you've got Billy Gilmour showing for it every time. It's kind of an easy job, you know. You play a simple pass and the team gets going. Billy Gilmour constantly wants the ball. I think he's looking like he's taking his game to the next level. Also, Gilmour, maybe since going to Italy, the pass that he played forward that led to the opening goal, I'm not saying he wouldn't have played that pass before, but that's something I think if he brings to his game more often, he becomes top level. I mean, he's already at a very, very high level, but Billy Gilmour tends to think probably first of all about keeping the ball. That pass forward was exceptional, and it got Doak in the ball. Next minute, John McGinn scoring. You're right, there are players coming on to top form in Scotland right now, and with the younger players coming through, throw in someone like Aaron Hickey, who's been missing for a long time now. If he can get back fit, albeit we're talking about how well Tony Ralston's played. But as we said at the beginning, Steve Clarke has looked at the squad since the Euros and tried to adapt things slightly by making little tweaks here and there. Changing the system, I think, has definitely helped to the back four, as I say. Bringing in the younger players like Ben Doak also has given an injection of energy and youthfulness that I think's made a huge difference. The problem we do have, as you touched on, Roger, is our centre forwards, is our striker. You know, John McGinn, Scott McTominay, these guys are our biggest goal threats. Thought Scott McTominay was actually relatively quiet last night by his standards. But John McGinn went through a period where he was maybe finding it difficult both at Villa and with Scotland. He says that himself. But he's been a huge player for Scotland, 20 goals in his time in the Scotland team. Is a remarkable kind of set of stats when you think about it for a player who's not a striker. So Scotland's goal scoring threat doesn't come from the highest end of the pitch. It comes from guys supporting the front men. But doesn't matter where they come from, Roger. If the ball ends up in the back of the net and you can score 2 goals away from home, whether it's from a defender and a midfielder, it matters not a jot because it gets you a huge win.
Exactly, Robert. Thank you very much. Remember, you can read Robert's match report in today's Scottish Sun and Scottish Sun Online. And as he said at the top of the show, we've got Bendo, Andy Robertson, and more coming in tomorrow's paper. Thanks very much. Well, we can now head over to SunSport's Kris Boyd. Boyd, it looks as if your former Kilmarnock manager, Steve Clarke, might just have got it right after all. 7 points from the last 9, and we're in a Nations League playoff in March.
Yeah, I mean, I think there was a lot of people out there doubted him. I wasn't one of them, and I think I've, if you go right through, I've been consistent in what I've said, that if there is someone better out there, then I'm sure Steve would accept that his time's up as a national manager. I don't think that is the case. And once again, he has proved the doubters wrong. There was a period of time there when, Scotland were struggling. You got the Euros and then they were in a poor run. Prior to the Euros, and then just after it as well. But you could see, and I've always said that the key thing for international football is if you still have players turning up at every camp, want to perform, do their best for the country, then you know you're onto something. And that has been the case with Steve Clarke. That has been consistent from the start. I don't see anybody pulled out and caused any problems. And I mean, I get the fact that there's Che Adams the last time in terms of wanting to settle, and there's nothing wrong with that. I think that a lot of players, especially Maddie, there would be excuses made not to go. But you look at the group of players that Steve Clarke's got, they understand what he wants from what they want from what he wants from them. And you just need to look at the results. And I thought the last 2 games, the first half on Friday night was a bit iffy as such. And there is no doubt, Croatia getting the red card swayed the game in Scotland's favour, but you still then need to go and win the game, and that's exactly what Scotland did. You look at, last night, as crazy as this sounds, Steve Clarke would probably be a little bit angry as such, because he just doesn't like, the way the game went. I know he ended up getting the winner. What a ball it is from John Souttar and a great header from Andy Robertson. But it was too end to end for Steve Clarke's liking for me. And I know, listen, for a neutral or somebody just sitting there wanting to watch, a game of football as such, because Scotland came out on top and it's all plaudits and everything. It's not a Steve Clarke game. That yes, got the result, but too end to end, and that's something that you look at. Had Lewandowski been there, would have been more opportunities for the Poles to score. Yeah, there would have been.
But you mentioned strikers there, Boyd. I was speaking to our colleague Robert Grieve, who's still in Warsaw, still on SunSport expenses. We'll look through it. The team is settled now. Yeah, he's still there.
Is he stuck? Is he missed?
No, he's not stuck. No, not at all. Like it. The team seems to have settled well. Our back four's only let in 1 goal in 3 games. Kenny McLean's replaced Callum McGregor. You look at the threat of Doak, McTominay, McGinn. The one thing, we struggle now for a centre forward of Che Adams, isn't there? I noticed you're 4 months younger than Craig Gordon. Any chance?
Calm down. If anybody had seen me last week at the Masters, then that was enough, even in that size of pitch.
Yes, we did.
Look, this whole thing of us having, a number 9 that's going to score goals on a regular basis, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. I think that when you look at the strikers we have got, Conway came in and done fine on Friday night. Lyndon Dykes, it was back to him last night. They do bring things to the team. They do. They're attributes that they can cause the opposition problems. Our strength and depth is behind them, and that's shown again over this period. This international.
Is there one of those guys, Boyd, a McGinn, a McTominay, a Christie? Could one of them play that role, the number 9, as a false 9?
No, I don't think they can, because for me, you need that natural striker positioning. You need that. You look at strikers in the whole, Roger, are selfish. That's what it is. That goal scorers are selfish because they want it to be all about them. I mean, there's sometimes, and by the way, I was guilty of it myself. You play a game, you get beat 3-2, you've scored the 2 goals. You're reasonably happy. You're reasonably happy because you feel as if you've done your job. To take that to now, I don't look at any of these strikers that are playing that role and think to myself, they've not scored, but they're going to be unhappy. Their selfishness, they will put themselves. They'll put the team ahead of themselves. They are to maybe try and put someone like a Christian McGinn or whatever McTominay in that number as a false role. It's a no for me. It's a no for me. I get the fact that we've got so many good players in and around that midfield area, but don't underestimate just that natural know-how, the position, where to be as a number 9. And I get the fact that they're not scoring, whoever it is, they're not scoring, but they do bring so much to the team. They do, and there needs to be that out ball, that natural position. Whereas I think, if you do play a false 9, everybody gets attracted to the ball. Then there's nobody to go along. London Dykes spent on his headers last night. And looking at the way that we were able to counter-attack and cause problems, we should have probably been out of sight before. What a strike it is! What a strike! And as I said, after that, it was just end to end, and that was something that Steve Clarke wouldn't want. But listen, he's got the 3 points. It's 7 points from the last 3 games. He will have shut a few people up, and you can look forward to those playoff games in March, is it?
March. We could park it now. We're back to domestic football. A 6-game Premiership card on Saturday, very unusual. John Suter, you mentioned setting up that winner in Warsaw last night. He's arriving back to a new technical director at Rangers. The breaking news this Tuesday morning, a promotion for Nils Koppen at Ibrox.
Yeah. I don't know where to start, to be honest. Who made the decision? Who made the decision? There's no CEO. I just, Roger, I don't know. Who's making decisions?
My understanding, Boyd, is he's very highly rated within the building, and
in terms of who rates him highly, because there's nobody above him.
Well, my understanding is the board have been impressed by his work so far. They were looking for a chief exec. I think in an ideal world they would have had a chief exec in prior to the appointment of a technical director, but the board seem to believe that Nils Koppen has earned the promotion, he's got the job, and you would think now they must be close, surely, Boyd, to a chief exec.
We'd like to think so, but when was that? March? April? James Bisgrove decided or said he was leaving. There's still been nothing. Yeah, there's been a few names linked with it. Again, why would you give someone a promotion when you don't have someone above them to answer? What happens if you appoint a chief exec and there is now problems with Nils Koppen and the chief exec? And I'm not saying that's going to happen, but what happens if it does?
I was interested in Koppen's interview this morning, Boyd, where he was talking about 2 of the priorities now for him must be to increase the number of players coming through the academy who reach the first team, and also the introduction of more Scots. Are those important things?
Yeah, they are. I think the other thing that he touched on as well was getting more ex-players involved and things like that as well. I've got to be honest with you, Roger, I just feel as if it's what the fans are saying.
Mm-hmm.
I just feel as if it's what the fans are saying, and it seems the right thing to say for Nils Koppen right now, because you only need to look on social media. This is not an appointment that the fans are enamoured with, to be honest.
Yeah.
They're not looking at it saying, "Oh, we're absolutely delighted with this appointment." And I think when you look back, I think you've got to earn the right to that promotion, shall we say, as you touched on there. And there's nothing to suggest that Nils Koppen has earned this. You might be a good guy or whatever, if you're telling me he's highly thought of behind the scenes. Right now, the fans only see what has came through the door, and it's not been good enough. It's not been good enough. The recruitment is a million miles away from where it should be. You've got to remember as well, the things that were said in the remit back in the summer, or even when Nils Koppen, they should just be guaranteed that there should be more Scots in that team. There should be younger. There should be players coming through the academy. That's not something that's new. But because you're now in this role, that you need to be seen to be saying the right things. That's not something that That should just be a remit right from the football club. You know, you've touched on, you're spending absolute bombs, fortunes on the youth academy. I mean, you only need to look at, you know, Cole McKinnon for me was someone who was highly regarded. You know, everybody said that, you know, this boy has the potential to be, you know, the next centre midfielder, the next midfield area that goes and does really well for Rangers, blah, 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 blah. Connor Barron, and they were rated roughly about the same in terms, you know, when you know, speaking to people within, you know, the Rangers setup. All of a sudden, you then bring Connor Barron from Aberdeen and put him in your first team. Okay, he's done okay. Cole McKinnon's development's stifled.
Yeah.
Is
that the same? It's not so long ago.
There needs to be a pathway, Roger.
And not so long ago, you know, Adam Devine had a taste of it. Leon King had a taste of it. Bailey Rice, who came from Motherwell, had a taste of it. Young Zach Lovelace, who I think came up from Millwall, had a taste of it. None of them seem to be coming through and getting the opportunity. Is that, you know, what does that say about the youth development?
It's not good enough. That's what it says. I mean, everybody gets caught up in this thing. Oh, we've not got any youth players coming through. We've not got this. At the end of the day, you need to be good enough to come through. You need to be good enough. If you're not going to make it. You go through the players that have came through the Rangers Academy over a period of time and go right back to your Barry Ferguson days. You had to be exceptional. You had to be, or you weren't going to get an opportunity. So this whole thing of, again, there's more emphasis on bringing youth through the academy. It should be given anyway that there's more emphasis on it. But the thing is, if they're not good enough, you've then got to look at other things. Is the coaching at the level it should be? That I don't know. You know, there's no point in. I look at youth football now, and everything is stifled. If you're the best at under 14s, you stay at under 14s. I go back to when I was coming through, or anybody around our generation, or my generation, sorry. If you were very good at 14s, you were moved to 16s. Why? Because it was a different test for you. There was a resilience built up because you went from being the best to all of a sudden you weren't. Then you had to do something different to overcome the problems that you faced then. We right now, all we do is keep kids at the same level to say, oh, we've won this, we've done that. It's not doing anything for the kids individually because there might only be, especially at Rangers Celtic, there might only be a chance at 1 or 2 because, as I said, you need to be exceptional. There might be a chance that there's 1 or 2 make it out those groups and into a first team. You need to move them on. You need to let them. You need to move them on. I mean, look at Lennon Miller right now. If he's at Rangers, Bailey Rice. You know, there wasn't much between the two of them when they were coming through at Motherwell. Rangers decided to take Bailey Rice, and again, the pathway's been blocked for him. Whether he's deemed good enough or not, it remains to be seen because he's never really been in that first team environment. Lennon Miller, on the other hand, has now got a handful of, in fact, more than a handful of first team games.
Yeah, more than. Yeah, I think it's more than 50 games now for Motherwell.
He's in that environment where he's dealing with men. He's playing with men every single day, and he's tested. He's not the best player every week. He might have the best touch. He might have the best passing range. But guess what? You've got opposition that need to stop you because they've got mortgages to pay. They need to be in the team. They need their bonuses. You don't get that at youth team football. You don't get that. And the thing is, if you need to move them up. So going back to what I'm saying, it's maybe a revamp of the youth department that's needed. Maybe. Because something needs to change because there might be talented kids in there. But as soon as they get to an age, it's stifled. They can't make that breakthrough. And as I said, it might be a fact that they might be good kids, but making that next step isn't easy. And if you look at history, tells you have to be exceptional.
Is it made harder, Boydie, because of the pressure that's on Philip Clement at the minute? He's 9 points off the pace of people talking about his job security. You know, when you see a young lad, say Finlay Curtis, who's doing well with the B team, he's scoring goals with the B team. Had there been less pressure on Clement, is there more chance of the likes of Curtis being involved around the first team squad? Is it a case at the minute Clement just has to pick a team that he thinks will get him the result?
Well, I'll flip it back and ask you the same question, Roger, in terms of, would he do any worse than Iggyman right now?
There you are.
No for me.
There you are.
No for me. And what I will say is, the fans will look at that and say, at least we're giving one of our own an opportunity. We're not spending £1.5–2 million on someone who, we're going to develop. If you've got someone there, give them an opportunity. You don't know. We all sit here as ex-players. We all sit here as ex-players, and we were given an opportunity years ago. Yeah, we took it. but we were given an opportunity from someone. By the way, I was in a dressing room where there was older, experienced pros in there, but I always felt as if I had something different. I always had that self-confidence, that self-belief that I could bring something different to the team. These young kids will be the same. That they're not, let's not be kidding here, Roger. You go back to Rangers when you think of, like Dobie, McLean, even McCormick, young strikers that came through at Rangers, Peter McDonald, they were on to have a very good career elsewhere.
Yeah.
They were trying to nudge 5 or 6 international players out of that starting 11 for Rangers. Yeah. It was virtually impossible. That's not the case anymore. Yeah. That's not the case. If I'm a youngster right now, especially as a striker at the training centre, I'm looking at saying, I've got an opportunity here. Go and just give every single thing to your game for the next period of time. You've got an opportunity of getting in there. And as I said, going back to it, Nils Koppen, in terms of the whole youth thing, that should have been a given anyway. Not because you've got a job. Now you look at it saying, oh, I want to give youth a chance. I want to sign more Scottish players. The best managers in Rangers history, that's what they've done. Yeah. You're not reinventing the wheel here. You're not, and then to add it on, maybe get some more ex-players in. What, because the fans are saying that you want ex-players within the building with the DNA that knows what it takes to be successful? It looks as if, to me, you're appeasing the fans. Again, because, and as I said, you only need to look at the criticism that has been flying around on social media. I mean, to sum it up right now, you just look at it and think to yourself, potentially you're just moving the deck chairs in a sinking ship. That's what it looks like to me.
Well, Boyd, you're not going anywhere. I've checked your SunSport contract this morning. It's a golden handcuffs deal. So if Nils Koppen calls and wants you as one of the ex-Rangers players in the regime, you're not going. Thanks very much, Boyd. We'll speak to you soon.
Well, thanks for watching Go Ballistic. Remember, we will be back tomorrow with our football editor, Derek McGregor, in his one-to-one series. This week, an exclusive interview with Motherwell manager Stuart Kettlewell. We'll also be back on Friday as Robert Thompson and Jim Delahunt talk you through the weekend's horse racing cards. And Go Ballistic will be back in its normal space next Monday morning, where we look back at a super 6-game Saturday in the Scottish Premiership. Thanks for watching.